Welcome boys. Okay, in this video we're going to be doing another product review. We're going to test it on two different cars. We're going to test it on the BMW E38 and the Crown Vic P71. We're going to do two different tests. That's why we're going to do it on two different vehicles. So the product we're going to be testing is this guy. It's what's known as an OBD2 memory saver. So what this is on one end, plugs into the OBD port. On the other end, we have clips, red and black, that attach to the positive and negative terminals of a 12-volt car battery. There's also a fuse in line. We're going to use this car battery as the power source for this. So on the BMW, we have a lot of sensitive electronics. I have power seats, memory seats. The radio station has 18 FM stations programmed into it, 6 AM, plus the actual audio has different settings depending on which music type I'm listening to. Like there's the concert hall, there's the jazz hall, and then there's regular, there's like stadium or whatever. It's got different sound things on it. Plus there's a whole bunch of different electronic modules. There's the OBD2 system itself, and a sunroof module, transmission control module, the security system, all these different modules. And one thing with BMWs in particular is if the battery is ever low or you disconnect it and plug it back in, you could have a bunch of problems, such as you're going to get a whole bunch of error codes in a whole bunch of modules that you can't clear the codes out of unless you have the machine to do it like I do, or if you have different type of driver adaptions set where the car gets used to how you drive. So on a drive-by-wire system, it's used to how you hit the pedal, and then it introduces a certain amount of lag or throttle response, depending on your driving habits. Same with the transmission and such. So you don't want to be resetting those if you can avoid it. The other problem you might run into is if you live in an area where you have emissions testing, OBD2 testing, and you break your car out, the battery's dead, so you just put a new one in it, and you're like, great, we're good to go. I never drive the car, so it'll definitely pass the safety. Pass the safety, but it doesn't pass emissions because all your modules are not ready, all the OBD2 readiness. So what you want this device to do is when you plug it into the OBD system, it's supposed to keep the car to retain all that information so you can swap the battery out and then unplug it, and then you should be golden. So we're going to test that. Does it work on the E38? Boy, I sure hope it does, because I'd really hate to have to reset my memory seats. So we're going to go ahead and get set up in the BMW. We're going to take the OBD measurements first. We're going to see what all systems are ready or not ready with this, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other port, the serial port that's under the hood, so we can check all those. And then we're going to hook up, disconnect the battery after we get this guy hooked up to that battery, and then we'll see what's doing. And then after that, we're going to try a very similar test, but ever so slightly different on the Crown Vic. So, see you boys over in the car.
Okay, so we have our machine hooked up. It's like 7 readies, 1 not ready. So the catalyst is what's incomplete. Of course, I haven't driven it that far since I reset everything. But the important thing is that we did replace the oxygen sensors, and they are okay. So, okay. So now with that said, we also have our time, date, fuel consumption, etc. So we got 94.1, 98.1, 99.1, whatever this just said. 1049, 1057, 1033, 87.7, 95, 99.7, 1013, 1051. Hell, most of these aren't even programmed. I have to have Katie take care of this for me. Alright, well, okay. And now if we look down here, we do have 11.9 volts. Alright, so let's see what we got going on, and we're going to test our machine. Okay, so with the positive and negative terminals connected, we have a red light on, which shows we have power. And let's see how well this works. I guess that lets us know that it's working. Okay. Disconnect the battery from the... Alright, here's our negative terminal, 10 millimeter. Okay. So that's it. Disconnected. Huh. The light's still on. So does that thing power the whole car then? Maybe we should disconnect the positive just to be sure everything's on the up and up here. You know what? Let's do it. Why the hell not? Well, I'll be. So somehow this battery going through the OBD port. Huh. Oh, well, I guess it doesn't have enough power to power everything then. So what all can we do? Can we move the seats? No. This OBD lost power. Okay. So it looks like it could power some things. Maybe not all the everything. Huh. Alright, well, let's go ahead and hook the battery back up and see what happens. Okay, so I think what the problem was, the fuse blew. Because I noticed when I had hooked it up to the battery, the light wasn't on. I go, huh, this whole thing burned out? I go, man, what a cheap piece of crap. And I go, well, maybe there's just no power. So I checked it with the multimeter, it was like 12.6 volts. I go, and then I looked and I noticed it was kind of blown. Remember, there was only a 5 amp fuse in there. Now, I don't have a replacement 5 amp fuse. Or if I do, I can't find it. So the smallest one I have is a 15 amp. So we're going to put that in here for now. And we're going to retest this because I think that's what happened. I think what happened with the E38 was when I pressed that dome light and I turned on all the lights in the car, there was just too much amperage going through this and it blew it, and then that's why it lost memory. So I think what I think will be good is as long as we don't put too much power into that thing. Now the trunk light's still on. Obviously that's less than 5 amps, I guess, but the interior lights will be enough to blow the fuse. So what we'll have to do is, if we want to test it again on the E38, let's open the door, turn that light off, take the key out of it, make sure there's no key, nothing in there, disconnect the battery again, and then it should be able to hold indefinitely then, as long as this has a charge. So we'll test it again, and then we should be golden. Okay, so we're hooked back up. Beeping, red lights on, our interior lights are off, keys out of the ignition, so that monitor's turned off. So we do still have some modules on, so you can see our parking light is glowing. And we do have the trunk lights on, so hopefully that's not more than 5, well now I have 15 amp fuse in, so hopefully it's not more than 15 amps, and it shouldn't be. So we're going to disconnect just the negatives this time. Actually, you know what, might as well, if we're going to do it right. Okay. negative's off. Light's still on. I can still hear it beeping. Okay. Now that that's good, light's still on, still beeping. Alright. Well, let's hook it back up. Yet. Okay, that one's secured. Never mind the big jetliners flying through here. I guess Corona-chan is no longer a thing and everybody's opened up again. I guess the riots kind of proved that Corona-chan was BS, huh? Now people can fly again. That's good. Glad to hear that. I'd hate to think everybody's still stuck at home. Okay. Now let's see if everything actually... Okay. Do we have light still? Okay, so the actual battery is hooked back up. Let me grab my... Oh, my keys are right here. Okay. Let's move this out of my way a little. Hey! Okay, so the machine does work. It does actually work. Date set. Everything's still programmed. But surprisingly, the radio still stayed programmed anyway. Okay, so I guess it does work. Let's try it on the Crown Vic if it doesn't pour down. Before I move over to Crown Vic, there's one more thing I want to try for shits and giggles. Before I tell anybody to sign off on getting something like this. So we know it does work. As you can see, it's disconnected. Car battery's still connected. But here's what else I just hooked up. So I've got a battery tender on here now. It says it's charging 8 amp. I wonder if you have this hooked up, if you can still disconnect the battery and it save all your memory. And if you can, then you really don't need one of these if you have a battery charger. So let's find out. We're going to test that theory together. I'm going to be really sad if I have to reprogram this again, because it'll be like the third time today. But we're going to find out. That light's still on. Well, what do you know? So long as it gives me trouble. Light's still on. Wasn't that something? Okay. So there we go. You don't need one if you have a battery charger. Isn't that fascinating? This is what we do on this channel. We answer the really hard questions or the really stupid ones. Alright, my parents always said, my dad used to always give me shit for asking too many questions. So call me the question man. Which is funny, because his name is Mark, and he asks so many questions at work, people call him Question Mark. So it's okay for him to ask questions, but, you know, not okay for me to ask what he would call stupid questions. But is this a stupid question? hey, if you have a battery charger and you hook it up to those terminals on the front of your car where you jump it and you disconnect your battery, will your car lose memory? Is that a stupid question? I don't think so. So if any of you guys were wondering, well, now we know. You can. Your car will save its memory. Or at least I'm assuming so, because the light stayed on. Right, so let's go ahead and just confirm then, all in one glorious go. Where are my keys? Oh, they're in my pocket. Okay. See, still disconnected. Still lights. Memory's still saved. Date and time are still saved. There we go. Okay. So you can get one of these things if you need one. Or you can just hook a battery charger up to your deal. As long as there's some current going through the system, you're golden. Well, that's good to know, good to know. Okay, so we've got to do one more little test on the Crown Vic. And that is, can we hook this thing up to a jump pack? And or can we hook that up to a battery charger even? So we're going to cover everything here. Okay, we're now on the Crown Vic. Readiness completed, 8. None are incomplete. Everything's okay. There's no heated catalyst monitor. No secondary air. This wasn't a California car originally. So that's nice. It's 12:23. So we got 94, 7, 98, 1, 1033, 1065, 1057, and nothing. That is for the thingy. 90.5 is the blank station for that. So,
which is that famous area still in Los Angeles.
okay, so now that we know everything's good on here, that's good. We are going to test our device using a couple different methods to power. And for my own curiosity's sake, this battery's been sitting on here for a minute. I haven't driven the car in a week, but we're still rocking 12.55 volts, and that's with the trunk light on, because the trunk. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is, let's say you don't have a spare battery, or even a charger, but you have a jump pack. Will a jump pack work? Can this thing power this device? With the multimeter hooked up, it's putting out 13 volts, so I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. So let's hook this thing up to that, and we'll disconnect the battery. Okay, so here's what we got. Now what I did was I plugged that thing into the OBD port to get ready, and I accidentally touched these two things together, and then it fried my 15 amp fuse. So don't do that. Make sure these are where they need to go before you plug that into something and get power to it, or you'll fry your fuse. So now we have 20 amp in there. So running out of fuses, boys. This next smallest one, I think I got one left. A 20, no, I got two left. A 25. Another 25 or 2.5. Oh, green one, a pink one, and a clear one, and a 30. Okay, so I got a little wiggle room here. But so we're gonna hook this up. Now it's getting power because the car's battery is still attached. So we're gonna turn this on. It's on now. And we're going to take the car's battery off. And then if this works, so I don't see any reason why it shouldn't, we'll still have power to this. We'll just take the positive terminal off. Off. Still hear it's beeping. Okay. So with that said, Everything looks good. That's powering it. Fuse isn't blown. Still beeping. So I'd say that works. Now that's a different size. That's why I'm not going to the trouble to go figuring out which size I need to put that on. It was a 10mm for the BMW both sides and a 10mm for the positive on this Vic. So we'll put this back on now. Okay. Turn this off. Unplug it. Now, if that worked, everything should still be like it was. 1239.
Performs this song, believe it or not, live. They did it at Las Vegas.
Perfect.
Not.
Okay. Alright, so now we need to test the last method. So I'm going to grab that charger off the BMW, bring it over here, and then we're going to see if that works. If we can, just run the charger straight to that thing, disconnect the battery and see if that'll power it. Find out. Now that's 8 amps. Remember, there was only a 5 amp fuse in there, but now I have a higher one, so we don't know if that's going to send a full 8 amps. I wouldn't think so. I think the thing's going to be smart enough to tell us that it's only going to use as much as it needs to. So, I don't know, if it melts it and burns it up, whatever, only pay $20 for it, and then we'll know. Well, no, you can't use that to hook directly to it, but you can use the jump pack. So actually, that makes sense, because the jump pack should put out enough amps to start a car, and if it didn't blow that up, then that shouldn't either. So, alright, let's get her done. Okay, boys, so we have some pretty dicey clamp action here. I'm going to plug this in and then turn this on. Okay, so that's now working off the car battery. So it's charging, so it should be powering that thing. So let's take the car battery off, see what happens. Still beeping. You know, for shits and giggles, since we're testing things anyway, I wonder how much voltage is going through that. Okay, that's more consistent. About 15 to 16 volts. Okay. Okay. Well, I think we've established now that you can power this thing with a car battery, the jump pack, which is a battery, or a charger, which is not a battery, but it is applying voltage, and presumably amperage. Alright. Alright, perfect. Okay. Let's see. Does it work? I'm sure it does. But we need to make sure. 1246. Yep.
Medical and clinical.
Alrighty then. Well, now we know, boys. She does work. It was a rough start, but we'll go ahead and close the video out here in a sec with my final thoughts.
Alright boys, so final thoughts on that OBD2 memory saver. So it does work. A couple things to note then as we went over in the video. Make sure you have a whole bunch of standard sized fuses in case you accidentally blow a bunch of them like I did. You've also learned that yes, it does work, but you cannot power too many electronics inside the car or a bad time is going to ensue. Like you're going to lose all your memory. So, do you need one of these things? Well, if you have a car like the Crown Vic that's configured that way in the sense that the battery is the same place that you would jump the car, as in there's no other place to run power to the car once you disconnect the battery, then yes, you would need it for that type of car. That way you can keep your memory, your seat. Let's say your car's similar to the BMW that it has all these like luxury features, memory seats, etc. Then, but it's configured in the way that the Crown Vic is, where the battery's up front and that's where you would jump the car from. Yes, you should get something like that you would need that device for that car to save all the memory. But let's say it's configured like the BMW, where the battery's in the back, you have jumper posts in the front that you can use to power the car. So in that case, we learned you don't actually need that device as long as you have power going to the car. So the jump pack, I reckon we didn't test the jump pack theory on the BMW. We know it works with the device, but I suspect that if we were able to hook the battery maintainer up to the front of the BMW, disconnect the battery and the memory stayed, I think that I could have essentially probably hooked the jump pack up to the front of the BMW, powered it on, and then swapped the battery in the back, and then it would have been just the same. So if you have a jump pack and your car's configured like the BMW, just use that. If you have a battery maintainer or charger and it's configured like the BMW, just use that. If you have a car that's configured like the Crown Vic, you are going to have to get one of those if you want to keep the car's memory. But as we've seen also with the device, so if you do get the device, you do have other ways of powering it. So you could use a spare car battery. If you don't have one and you have a jump pack, use a jump pack. If you don't have a jump pack or a spare car battery, but you have a maintainer / charger, use that to power the OBD2 device when you swap the battery out of the front of the car. So that's the takeaway from it. So you guys can now make an informed decision on, do you need one of those? How does it work? What devices will power it, etc. So you don't have to do any of the things. I did it for you. And also, since we went on the journey together, we know what you can and can't do, which is don't power too many accessories inside the car when you hook the thing up. Just swap your battery, and then you're good to go. So I hope this video was helpful and informative, and you learned just as much as I did. Thanks for watching, boys. Peace!